Welcome to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe in the studios of our flagship stations, 89.3 Lakes FM and Civic Center TV on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99, where you'll also find us in the Birmingham-Bloomfield area on Birmingham Area Municipal Access and on City Cable 15 in Southfield. Join us live on Channel 10 in Waterford every day, Monday through Friday, 10 to noon on the media network of Waterford, and live to tape on Channel 10 in Orion Township and Lake Orion on Orion Neighborhood Television, or as the kids call it, ONTV. You can also find us this week live to tape on the radio in the Birmingham, Bloomfield, and Troy areas on the Biff Radio Network, 88.1, the Biff, a service of the Bloomfield Hills School District. Find us online on our Facebook pages at Civic Center TV 15 and at Lakes FM, on our website, civiccentertv.com, and beginning at 11 o'clock on My Michigan TV, otherwise known as MyMy, where you can learn more information about their free MyMy TV apps for your smartphone and smart TVs. All of that information is on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you can find all of our programming on demand, as well as each individual interview as well. Then let's head on over to our coronavirus page, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, where we have links to the most up-to-date information on COVID-19 from reliable expert resources at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services in Lansing, and right here in Pontiac in the Oakland County Health Division, so that you can stay up to date on everything that you need to know about the spread of COVID-19, precautionary tactics such as masking, as well as vaccinations and booster shots. Also on our coronavirus page at civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, we feature articles from many journalistic outlets throughout the state of Michigan in order to keep you updated on COVID-19 and other stories making headlines across the Great Lakes state. Our top story today from the Detroit News: the accused Oxford High School shooter will remain in adult jail. The alleged shooter will remain in the Oakland County Jail for at least another month rather than moving to the juvenile jails as his defense team has requested. The shooter, 15 years old, has been jailed since November 30th, the day that the mass shooting occurred at Oxford High School. Quote, the court has not been presented with any new information to disturb its March 1st order, and closed quote, which is that the shooter will remain jailed at the adult facility, said Judge Kwame Rowe. The next monthly placement hearing, along with a pretrial hearing, will be held on April 21st, Judge Rowe said. The judge asked if attorneys had heard back from the center that will evaluate the 15-year-old as he mounts an insanity defense. Lofton, one of his defense attorneys, said a report was expected back in about 45 days. Deborah McKelvey, who served as guardian ad litem for the accused teen, took issue with the prosecution brief that argued it's the parental role to secure his schooling. Quote, it's no longer the parent's responsibility, McKelvey argued, and has not been since he has been jailed. But McKelvey said that on Tuesday she heard from the Oakland County Corporation Council offering two educational options: A, a disciplinary academy, or B, online schooling. He could not start cyber school until September at the earliest, however. The second option would be when he turns 16 next month, is a high school equivalency or a GED program with a path to community college classes, McKelvey said. There have been talks with the jail about allowing the accused shooter daily access to a laptop to do schoolwork. Quote, there's been a lot of movement in that, McKelvey said. Continuing on, she said she met with the alleged shooter on Wednesday and said he's deciding his next move. Thursday's hearing lasted about 15 minutes. Authorities allege that after fatally shooting 4 classmates and wounding 7 others, the accused school shooter surrendered himself to a school resource officer. Killed in the shooting were Hannah St. Juliana, 14 years old, Tate Mears, 16 years old, and Madison Baldwin and Justin Schilling, both 17 years old. Police originally took the 15-year-old to Oakland County Children's Village, the juvenile jail in Waterford Township, but after his December 1st arraignment, during which the teen was ordered jailed without bond, he's been in a medical clinic at the Oakland County Jail. There he has had no contact with other inmates and very little with staff, except for deputies who patrol the area every 15 minutes or so. In the 5 months of his incarceration, he has had several visits from his attorney and guardian ad litem, Deborah McKelvey, and has received, quote, fan mail, and closed quote, according to prior testimony. As Jason Smith, executive director of the Michigan Center for Youth Justice, wrote in January in the Detroit News, quote, a court that decides to detain a youth in an adult jail must also hold a review hearing once every 30 days with a 180-day limit unless there is good cause extension, and closed quote. The monthly review hearings and 180-day limit are federal requirements by the way of the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act. The alleged shooter was last in court February 22nd for a placement hearing. At that hearing, Oakland County prosecutors said that he was, quote, calculated and, quote, enjoyed his dark side, and closed quote, while defense lawyers countered that the teen cried out for help but received none. Judge Kwame Rowe ruled then that he should remain jailed at the Oakland County Jail. The alleged school shooter is charged as an adult with 4 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of terrorism causing death, and 7 counts of assault with intent to murder, as well as 12 counts of felony firearm accusations in the November 30th shooting that killed 4 people and wounded 7 others, 6 students and 1 teacher. He has pleaded not guilty to all of the charges. Defense attorneys Paulette Lofton and Amy Hopp in January filed intent to mount an insanity defense. No ruling has been made on the alleged killer's competency to stand trial. That full article from the Detroit News on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, as well as this next story from the Detroit Free Press. Michigan yesterday canceled its statewide tornado drill in order to avoid confusion with some severe weather that had passed through all throughout the state. Michigan's statewide tornado drill set for 1 p.m. on Wednesday had been canceled as a precaution against the threat of actual severe weather. Thunderstorms were forecast in southeast Michigan yesterday between 3 and 11 p.m. south of Interstate 96, with the potential for 1-inch hail and wind gusts, the National Weather Service said. The threat of tornadoes also was likely in Ohio and Indiana. Michigan had planned to hold a statewide tornado drill as part of Michigan's Severe Weather Awareness Week, but the chance of strong to severe storms in the afternoon led to the warning sirens testing being called off to prevent confusion. The National Weather Service said it canceled its weekly test of the NOAA All-Hazard Weather Radio tests as well, which was scheduled with the drill because of the potential for dangerous weather. Tornadoes can happen anytime, but are more prevalent in the spring and summer seasons here in Michigan. The drills, which are held periodically nationwide, give communities a chance to practice what to do and to be aware of what happens when the alarm goes off. A tornado watch means that conditions exist for a tornado to develop, while tornado warning means that a tornado has been sighted or indicated by a weather radar and is currently approaching a given area. That article from the Detroit Free Press on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. Lastly, making headlines from Bridge, Michigan. According to a Star witness, the Governor Whitmer kidnap plotters wanted, quote, Boogaloo war to stop Joe Biden from becoming president. Militia activists who plotted to kidnap the governor hope to start a second civil war before the 2020 presidential election and keep Joe Biden out of office, a former colleague testified Wednesday in a federal court. Ty Garvin of Heartland, currently serving a 75-month sentence after pleading guilty to a kidnapping conspiracy charge in January of 2021, testified against remaining defendants Wednesday in a blockbuster federal trial that experts say is the test of the government's ability to crack down on growing domestic extremism. Plotters anticipated that kidnapping the governor would, quote, kick off the, quote, Boogaloo, and closed quote, Garvin said, referencing a far-right movement whose adherents believe that the United States is poised for a new civil war that will lead to societal chaos. Quote, the goal was to complete it before the presidential election, and closed quote, said Garvin of the kidnapping plots in testimony before jurors who will decide the fate of 4 defendants on trial for the alleged plot. Quote, we wanted to cause as much disruption as possible to prevent Joe Biden from getting into office, and closed quote. Plotters also worried that kidnapping Whitmer could be, quote, more difficult, and closed quote, after the election if she joined Joe Biden's cabinet, Garvin said, alluding to a 2020 report that Biden considered the first-term governor to be his running mate, a position that ultimately went to Kamala Harris, a senator from California at the time. The men discussed, quote, whether Whitmer's security detail would increase from being state police troopers and state law enforcement to being the federal Secret Service, and close quote, Garvin said, telling prosecutors the plan included blowing up a bridge near the governor's northern Michigan vacation home in order to slow down any police response. The testimony from Garvin, a 26-year-old airplane mechanic, was among the most dramatic and overtly political to date on the ongoing trial of Adam Fox, 38, of Wyoming, Daniel Harris, 24, of Lake Orion, Brandon Concerto, 33, of Canton Township, and Barry Croft, 46, from the state of Delaware. Caleb Franks of Waterford Township also reached a plea deal with the federal prosecutors and is expected to testify against the defendants who face the possibility of life in prison if convicted on kidnapping and weapons conspiracy charges. Defense attorneys contend that FBI informants and undercover agents entrapped the militia activists whose frustration with Whitmer's pandemic-era health and safety orders produced little more than quote-unquote crazy talk until they were egged on by the government that is now prosecuting them. In cross-examination Wednesday, defense attorney Julia Kelly sought to undermine Garbin's credibility by pointing out inconsistencies between his courtroom testimony and his initial statements to the FBI on October 7th, 2020, the day he and other defendants were arrested in a sting operation. Showing him a transcript of the initial FBI interview, Kelly reminded Garbin that he had initially downplayed the alleged plot, saying he was, quote, turned off, and closed quote, by a talk of potential kidnapping and had stayed with the militia group, quote, just to drink and hang out, and closed quote. Garbin, quote, lied to a federal agent, and closed quote, said Kelly, who represents Harris. Garbin repeatedly told Kelly he did not recall details of that FBI interview. In testimony earlier on Wednesday, Garbin told prosecutors that he and colleagues planned and trained to execute the plot, surveilling the Whitmer family's vacation property and constructing a, quote, shoot house, and closed quote, to simulate extraction. Garbin also testified all four defendants participated in key meetings, and he identified them in audio and video recordings obtained by the FBI, informants, and undercover agents. Fox, the accused ringleader, was saving money to purchase explosives and had discussed kidnapping Whitmer from her vacation home in the summer of 2020, meeting where other defendants were, quote, nodding their heads in agreement, and closed quote, according to Garbin's testimony. Croft, a self-described leader of the Three Percenters militia movement, who the FBI says helped craft improvised explosive devices, or IEDs, quote, proposed committing a series of robberies to generate funding for firearms or whatever else we needed, in close quote, Garbin said. Harris, he testified, did not join colleagues on a September 2020 surveillance mission at Whitmer's vacation home because he had consumed too much alcohol that night. But Harris appeared to be a willing participant who told colleagues he knew a bomb maker and warned them that, quote, at some point we're going to reach the point of no return, meaning that we weren't going to be able to return to our families or lead a normal life, and closed quote, Garbin testified. Another defendant, Caserta, also missed the nighttime surveillance mission because of, quote, excessive drinking, Garbin said, but fellow plotters gave him, quote, a rundown, and closed quote, the next morning, and he was, quote, nodding in agreement, and closed quote. Prosecutors played a recording of Caserta telling colleagues it was his, quote, personal choice, and closed quote, to be involved in planning meetings and training exercises. And on the day he was arrested in October of 2020, Caserta threatened violence against police after receiving a traffic ticket. Quote, if this bleep goes down, if this whole thing starts to happen, I'm taking out as many of those mother effers as I can, in close quote, Caserta said in a video played for jurors, which Garbin testified was apparent reference to the, quote, Boogaloo war that the plotters believed their kidnapping would trigger. If we're doing a recon and we come up on them, you better not give them a chance, and closed quote. Caserta continued in the recording saying, quote, you tell them to go or they die. They are the effing enemy, period, and closed quote. Those recordings are among more than 100 pieces of audio and video evidence that prosecutors expect to use in the ongoing trial, which began on March 9th and is expected to persist through April. Prosecutors from the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Western District of Michigan have also shown jurors weapons used by the defendants, including dozens of chat logs from encrypted servers the defendants used to communicate. Defense attorneys are expected to continue questioning Garbin later on this week, beginning today. That full article from Bridge, Michigan, as well as those other helpful articles and that ever-accurate information on COVID-19 from the CDC, the MDHHS, and the Oakland County Health Division on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. We have a great program ahead on this Thursday edition of the Oakland County Megacast. Coming up next, we'll speak with Todd Whalen from Give My Books and then Carla Balo from the Center for Automotive Research at 10:40 a.m. That's all up next. This is the Oakland County Megacast.
Today, it is easier than ever to join Michigan's Organ Donor Registry and help build a bridge of hope for organ, tissue, and eye donation. Just one person can potentially save or help improve the lives of up to 75 people. By joining, your legacy could be the gift of life. Sign up today at michigan.gov/SOS or at any of the more than 145 Secretary of State self-service stations located across Michigan. Be part of Michigan's Bridge of Hope by adding your name to the Organ Donor Registry.
When times get dark, We can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
211, how can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council,
we work together to protect water resources for everyone.
Most of the pollution entering our rivers is carried by rainwater that runs off roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
a rain garden helps catch stormwater runoff.
Rain gardens and their plants help dirty runoff soak into the ground.
You can do your part to help keep our water clean.
Learn about rain gardens and native plants.
So consider a rain garden in your home landscaping.
Catch the runoff with a rain garden.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
The COVID-19 pandemic shined a bright light on the literacy gap here in Michigan, and one local organization is looking to help get Michigan reading, giving away an astounding 50,000 books to the community. Give My Books founder Todd Whalen joins us now on the Michigan Megacast. Todd, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you on with us. Let's begin. For those who are unfamiliar with Give My Books, can you talk about Give My Books and what you've been doing, your organization's been doing with books and other media in our community since 2008?
Yeah, so Give My Books is it's our family business. So what we've been doing is we've been picking up books from people who no longer need them or don't, for whatever reason, directly from people's homes, right off their front porch or another safe, dry location. So that way we collect them. And then as a family business, what we do is we sell them to support our service and to support our family. But not all of them can be sold. So we give as many as possible back to the community. And we've been doing that through a number of different ways.
And so, Todd, what inspired that giving portion of this operation? Obviously, the books that you can resell from your business side, you want to resell and make whatever you can off of them. But the ones that may not be able to be resold but may be useful to the community, they can come very much in handy to educators, to students that may not otherwise have access to those books. So where did that inspiration begin to start that effort?
Yeah, that's good. So back when I started this business, I was a single dad. And so what started it was I was asking people for their books in order to support me as a single dad. But then what I realized was that people, they love their books. They want to know that they're going to a good cause. So what we then did was just start giving them back. And people are giving us books to support our family. So then we want to give back to the community. I actually feel indebted to the community for all the help that they've given through giving their books. So that's the reason why we definitely want to give back to the community.
More information on Give My Books is available at jlcbooksale.com, jlcbooksale.com to learn more information. Last year, you gave away about 30,000 free books, and so it's got to be a massive effort from your team in order to put this effort forward at all. And your goal this year is to surpass that 30,000 almost twice over. Your goal is 50,000 books given away in our communities. So just how big of an effort is it? How many people are involved and the logistics that are involved in making this happen to get these books out into our community?
Yeah. So there's a good amount of effort to this. We've actually done a lot of the digital work using both the websites, givemybooks.com and jlcbooksale.com. They work hand in hand. So what we've been doing is giving books directly to schools in bulk. So like each school, they can get 2 books per student that can be given directly to the students, and then 2 books for the teacher for each of their students. So we're basically just dropping off bulk shipments to these different schools or organizations. That's one way we've been doing. But the way that we've modified things now is so that individuals in the community can get free books using the online checkout process through JLC Book Sale to schedule their time to come pick them out. And they get the free coupon through Give My Books. So it takes a good amount of people to set this all up, but we've actually automated most of the process that we can now get down to running it with just myself, and we have 5 other people who run the whole business together.
We're joined by Todd Whalen, the founder of Give My Books. More information in a couple of places, jlcbooksale.com as well as givemybooks.com, where you can learn more information about both the JLC Bookstore and learn more information about Give My Books, how you can get involved, how you can help them out, as they aim to give 50,000 books away to the community for free this year in this effort. And so you're based out of Washtenaw County, and for the most part, this effort has been based in Washtenaw County, with the goal now expanding from 30,000 books that was the end result approximately last year to your goal this year for 50,000 books. How is that effort going to change? Are you expanding outside of your local area in Washtenaw County to surrounding counties?
Yes, absolutely. So what we've done now is we are having parts of Livingston County, Oakland County, Wayne, and Monroe counties. So basically from where we're at, it's a approximately 30-mile radius that we've expanded our pickup area, and thus helping us to get more books so that we can actually give away more books.
What's the response been like in the community year after year as you are giving these books away? Because there seems to be, off the top of my head, there would be a couple of different places these books would go. They go to individual families that may struggle financially, not be able to afford getting new books and keeping their children and their families engaged in reading and that creative mindset that comes from reading these books, but also to teachers and schools throughout our multiple county area that this effort's going to be put forth in, that we've seen, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, have had to really tighten their budgets. And often for these educators, even outside of the times of COVID, they're often buying these books out of pocket. So free books can be immensely helpful. What's the response been like from the community in Washtenaw County since 2008, as you've been doing this effort to provide these books for free in your community?
Yeah, the response has been fabulous. We've had utter appreciation for what we're doing, especially like you mentioned, teachers. They buy their own books. That's a huge burden, really. And then especially we found out during the pandemic, not everybody had access to books. They couldn't get their school libraries and things like that. So there's a big need for books to be given, especially over different economic zones. Not everybody makes the same amount of money and can afford books. So them being given free we've received so many either letters of appreciation, even from schools. One of my favorite things ever was getting a handwritten card from a bunch of little elementary school kids in their own handwriting. I mean, that touched my heart. So we've had a tremendous response from the community in what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm sure that helps in these individual classrooms too, to mix up and break up these lessons and give a more extensive look from the literacy standpoint in these classrooms, and of course giving that ever necessary relief, especially financially, to teachers. I know from the experiences of my aunt, who is an elementary school teacher at Brick Elementary in Ypsilanti over there in Washtenaw County, that the expenses that our teachers are putting forth just to do the bare minimum, at the very least, to teach the kids in their classes every year is immense. And so having these opportunities, not only does it help the teachers financially, and that's great, it really helps to enrich that learning experience for the kids as well.
Mm-hmm. It's very true. And one other thing, what was I going to mention? Oh, yeah, the Ypsilanti Community Schools, to help them. Yeah, even in Ypsilanti Community Schools. This is what I was going to say. This is an ongoing thing. This isn't just because it's 50,000 books, poof, we stop. We want teachers every year to continue to get books for their students, their new students, and have new books for their own classroom. So this is an ongoing thing. Yeah, we have a goal of 50,000 this year, but that's just us getting started. We just had to set a goal, and that was a good goal to start.
Yeah, if you're able to get 30,000 books, that jump to 50,000 with that effort in the community, especially as you expand out, that's a good baseline, but you can get a lot further than that, especially if you have the kind of effort that obviously you've had from the community over these many years that Give My Books has been going on. Todd Whalen joins us. He's the founder of Give My Books. More information, givemybooks.com, as well as jlcbooksale.com. And so, of course, JLC Book Sale is connected to your bookstore, and you're able to sell books through that business. And if books aren't flying off the shelves, there's an easy out there. You put them in the Give My Books. You're giving them away in the community. Someone's going to enjoy that content. But other than that, directly from your business operation, where are the rest of these books coming from?
The books, where do they come from? They come from the community. They're 100% from the community. We actually don't buy any books, and so because people give these to us, we pick up directly from people's front porches or from their, they put their books in their garage for us, and they just schedule online at givemybooks.com. We also have people that have used us, like thrift stores, nonprofits. We have universities. There's a whole list of even organizations that use our libraries. We actually pick up for a whole bunch of libraries throughout all of Southeast Michigan. So not just individual homes, but that does make up the majority, as we picked up from thousands and thousands of people over these last 13 years.
We're joined by Todd Whalen. He is the founder of Give My Books, an effort that is hoping to raise 50,000 different books to spread throughout the community for free to different organizations and individuals in Washtenaw County and as well in surrounding counties, also including Livingston, Oakland, Wayne, and Monroe counties. He joins us on the Megacast. More information on givemybooks.com. And so if people are interested in donating books, what's the best way for them to go about getting in contact with you and going through that process of collecting those books and ultimately getting them into circulation so they can be distributed in our communities?
Excellent. So the best way is to use our website, givemybooks.com. You'll find the pickup request form on there. It's a very simple form, just your name, address, the basic information that we need, and then you schedule your own date. Each zip code has a zone, so we pick up on certain days depending on which zip code you're in. And then you just fill out the form, and what you'll get a confirmation email that you're on our schedule, along with instructions that you'll need for the book pickup. Then the day of the pickup, all you do is leave your books or other items out on the front porch or any other safe, dry location that you've told us. And then we'll come by between 8 a.m. in the morning to 8 p.m. at night, and we'll come and pick all those books up. And then you'll even get a reminder email the day before you have a pickup, and we'll confirm that we did a good job afterwards with an email saying, hey, did we get your books? And then that'll complete the transaction. That's how they get back into circulation.
We're joined by Todd Whalen from Give My Books. You can learn more information, givemybooks.com, as Todd is the founder of the organization. You can also learn more information on jlcbooksale.com. We're joined by Todd Whalen, founder of Give My Books. And so we talk about getting involved in the donation. What about in the distribution? If people would like to help Give My Books collect and distribute these books, how can they get involved with volunteer opportunities?
Yeah, so if anyone wants to be involved with that, they can contact us through our website or just a direct email, actually. So I'm Todd, so todd@givemybooks.com is a great way. That's my email address. And if you absolutely need to, you can find our phone number on the website, which you can call or text and let us know that you are interested in helping, and we'll work that out. We definitely need volunteers, especially for our summer book program that we may speak about.
So 50,000 books, 30,000 last year, 50,000 is the base goal for this year's effort. They're going to a number of different places throughout our communities and helping a whole lot of people. If people are in need, if they're teachers, if there are organizations, if there are individual families that are in need of some books, how can they go about getting those books through this effort as they're giving away thousands of books for free in our communities?
Yep. So there's two different ways at the moment. One is going to givemybooks.com. There is a teacher request form that can be filled out, and that also includes homeschool families or really anybody who wants them. That's just a request form for you to get free books from us. And what happens is, especially if you're a teacher or organization, once we verify all your information and approve you, we send you a coupon code that you can then use for jlcbooksale.com. If you have bulk books, we'll drop them off. But if you are just getting, say, 10, 20, 40 books, you can schedule a time to come pick them out yourself. So that's how people can get those books if they want them.
What's really interesting about this effort, Todd, and what's a really fascinating aspect of the Give My Books effort is that you're collecting all these books and you're storing them and you're running this operation out of your own home. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. It certainly is.
That's wild to think about. They have these thousands of books coming into circulation through this effort that at any given time theoretically would be in your home. How are you able to manage that, having that operation out of your home and then helping so many people, and not only now just in Washtenaw County, but in surrounding counties too?
Yeah, it's a challenge. So what we did is at our home, we built a 864 square foot pole barn. That serves as our warehouse. And then my parents' garage, where JLC Book Sale is, well, I should say at my parents' house, which is 2 courts down from ours, we made their garage into a bookstore. That's where the year-round JLC bookstore is, where people can come pick out those books. But at our own home, the key really is we can process a whole bunch of books because nothing really stays at our place. They're all processed and they are sorted and sent out back into the community, either to other bookstores, to other booksellers, or given away back into the community through what we've been talking about.
We're joined by Todd Whalen, founder of Give My Books. You can learn more information in a couple of places, jlcbooksale.com or by visiting givemybooks.com. And if you'd like to get involved through donations, if you'd like to obtain some of these books for your classroom, for your local organization, for yourself or someone that you know who may be in need of these books, you can get in contact with Todd. Todd@givemybooks.com is his email, or visit givemybooks.com and you can get in contact with him that way. So, Todd, another thing on the JLC side, your summer book sale events are coming up. Can you tell us about these events? I understand that they're held in your backyard. When can we expect this to be happening, and what's the fun in all of this?
That's right. Actually, it's tremendous fun. It's a lot of fun. We've set it up so that throughout all of our property, we use our front yard, our driveway, side, and backyard. We put out 15 to 20,000 books, and we categorize them. So, you have your kids' fiction, nonfiction books. So they're easily found and it's enjoyable. So every book is $1. The sales last from Wednesday to Saturday. But Wednesday is a special day because it's a teachers only day where they come and they get the best selection, and they also get 10% off of the already inexpensive books. But then everyone else can come. It's a huge event, and we do them 4 times a year, our summer events, in May, June, July, and August. So when we do those, we have usually 2,000 to 3,000 people that come to each one of those sales at our home in 3 days. So it's a well-organized, very fun event where people can get their books, and it's very enjoyable.
More information on givemybooks.com or jlcbooksale.com to learn more about Give My Books effort, aiming to give away 50,000 free books at the bare minimum this year. JLC Book Sale will be holding its summer book sale events from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. at 2091 Stratton Court in Ann Arbor. The following dates will be Wednesday, May 18th through Saturday, May 21st, Wednesday, June 22nd through Saturday, June 25th, Wednesday, July 20th through Saturday, July 23rd, and Wednesday, August 24th through Saturday, August 27th. In addition to books, Give My Books also collects and sells DVDs, audiobooks, video games, puzzles, and board games. Books are available for $1 each at the summer event. We're joined by Todd Whalen, founder of Give My Books, and also from jlcbooksale.com on the Michigan Megacast. Todd, just another couple minutes with you before we'll say goodbye. Anything else at this time that would be important for our audience to know about JLC Book Sale, or of course about Give My Books?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest things I want everyone to know right now is a coupon code that we are giving out to everybody. This is to jumpstart our giving away efforts. So there's one per person, the limit on it, but it's 10K free book giveaway. So it's 10K, 10K free book giveaway. That is the coupon code that the first 1,000 people that use that coupon code on jlcbooksale.com, the books, it's basically a $12 coupon because 10 books cost $12. But you get your 10 books free, and we're doing that for the first 1,000 people. And that jumpstarts us with 10,000 books being given away just as soon as we have 1,000 people who are interested.
That code, 10K free book giveaway, 10K free book giveaway, givemybooks.com or jlcbooksale.com. Todd, thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary, and if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the total number of people employed by motor vehicle and parts manufacturers declined by 3,500 people in January. In February, the decrease was even larger, with a decline of 18,000 jobs. Both figures are on a seasonally adjusted basis as well. Joining us now to talk about the automotive job market and the state of automotive companies given the circumstances of the job market is the president and CEO of the Center for Automotive Research, Carla Baila. Carla, thank you for being with us today.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Appreciate having you on. So let's begin with, like a lot of industries, employee shortages are hitting car manufacturers, but also parts manufacturers. We already know that's having a major impact on car sales, particularly for production of new vehicles and sales of new vehicles. But it's also having a pretty general impact on the automotive industry altogether, as people are leaving the industry and those jobs that are now available because of that exodus are not being filled. So give us some insight into the many different ways that this job market as it currently stands is affecting our automotive industry.
Yeah, I think, we have to be clear of all the reasons why we're having, some of the shortfalls in production. I mean, the biggest reason is supply chain. And when I say that, that includes not only semiconductors, but other needed components. We often say here at the Center for Automotive Research, you can't just build cars if you're missing just 10 parts, right? Every part has a very significant role, although we've recently heard, some auto manufacturers are actually shipping some of the products without semiconductors and either giving a reduced price or they'll retrofit it later. There's a number of ways to deal with it, but it's a supply chain issue. That also, in a lot of cases, is being caused by manpower shortages somewhere in the supply. As we look at what's happening with current workforce, one of the other reasons that we're seeing certain areas of the workforce go down is because people can now work anywhere. So it doesn't necessarily mean that people aren't employed in the industry. It just means they're working remotely or they're working under different conditions. Within the manufacturing plants, though, this is where we're currently struggling. We're seeing three areas where we're losing workforce today. One is just in the assembly line worker themselves. being able to manage everything in their lives, working, having children at home, daycare shortages, a plethora of reasons why folks are finding it difficult to manage in today's world of manufacturing. The second is the skilled workforce, skilled trades workforce. That is one of the most aged workforces that we have. And people are retiring. We know the great resignation. They're retiring, and we don't have backfill to come in. And just the third issue is this constant churn as we struggle for people to stay for any length of time in any company. We have just, wage inflation and signing bonuses as we've never seen before to get people into the workforce and to retain them into the workforce. People are jumping easily from one position to another for a higher wage.
We're joined by Carla Balo. She is the president and CEO of the Center for Automotive Research, joining us on the Oakland County Megacast. And we've been hearing some stories, too, about those that are taking these jobs. These are well-paying jobs in many scenarios. They're jobs that are open where these companies are very much willing to hire people, very much willing to train people on the job while they complete the job at their current skill level. And then people are taking these jobs, they're coming to work, and they're leaving by their lunch shift, sometimes on their first day. You worked on the lines while you were in college. Can you tell us about the strenuous nature of that blue-collar work, and also why in these circumstances that sudden exodus is something that's becoming more of a commonality, given that often in previous job markets, you would not want to be leaving a job unless you had something else pretty well secure.
Yeah, and that's just, the battle for talent now leaves that door open. So if you start something, you don't like it, it's tougher than you thought, you just go next door and go to a different kind of job. Going back to when I worked on the assembly line, and of course jobs have changed since I worked there I guess it's been about 40 years ago now. When I was on the line, I did not anticipate what I walked into. I ended up getting a job on the medium-duty truck line. I was filling rear axles with oil. I was bleeding brakes. I was over grates. It was slippery. After 2 days on the job, my calves were so sore I could barely walk, and I was 18 years old and in fairly good shape, I thought. It was much more difficult than I had ever envisioned an assembly line job to be. And I didn't even have some of the more strenuous ones. Now, of course, rules have changed and things have gotten better, but nonetheless, a warehouse job, assembly line job, it's not easy. It's repetitive work. It can be strenuous on certain parts of your body. And I know what a lot of companies are doing today to avoid this situation is they're really trying to make people understand all the elements of the job before they hire them, because to go through that interview process, to onboard somebody, and then, to actually start them in a training process, to have them leave quickly, it just doesn't make sense. So the more you can let people know what the job's going to be, or maybe even let them trial it, we're going to start seeing a lot of really interesting ways to try to retain people.
So as these jobs are attempting to be filled, and there seems to be some struggles in onboarding people and then keeping them there for some period of longevity when they do take these jobs, given all those circumstances, what is the answer or the current answer at least, for these automotive companies, for these automotive parts companies that are dealing with this crisis on top of supply chain issues and so on down the line, all of which are affecting their ability to output their materials and ultimately continue to run their business efficiently?
Yeah, I'm hearing all different kinds of things, from retention bonuses, from signing bonuses that have some legs, meaning that, you get this bonus, you retain it, or it gets paid over time the longer you stay here. The other is, really changing the way that they're hiring, to have, the conversations up front about what the job entails, make sure that that's very well understood. Continually checking to see, is the shop down the street going to give somebody 50 cents, $1 more? Is there something that I can do unrelated to salary? Because fundamentally, people want to care about the company that they're working for. They want to care about the product that's being made there. They want to realize their company has a social aspect, and they want to feel proud to work for that company. This is happening more than ever before across several elements of the company, not just the assembly line workers, but all the way up to through the skilled trades, through the salary jobs. People want to feel good about the company that they're working for. So are you saying the right things socially as a company as well? Are you demonstrating that in your hiring processes? Are you being diverse? Are you being inclusive? And then the other thing that the companies are starting to consider is, maybe I need more flexibility. Maybe in a manufacturing, everyone says in a manufacturing plant, we cannot be flexible. We have to start at 6 a.m. We have to end at 2 p.m. We have to have 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. And yes, that's what's required, but maybe we need to think differently and start doing more job sharing, or start thinking about how people can still manage their lives and still have a livelihood, because this is what people are seeking today. So different ways of managing shifts, of helping people cope with their lives. These kinds of things need to be thought about. It's not just, this is your hiring bonus, this is your retention bonus. People are thinking differently, especially coming out of this pandemic.
We're joined by Carla Balow, the president and CEO of the Center for Automotive Research on the Oakland County Megacast. More information from the Center for Automotive Research on their website, cargroup.org. That is cargroup.org for more information from the Center for Automotive Research. And so, Carla, the chip shortage you mentioned earlier is affecting output of materials, particularly altogether these vehicles, as well as the staffing issues that are also having a major impact on the output of these vehicles. Eventually, the markets will readjust themselves. The supply chain will get back to somewhat of normality, or figure out a way to adjust itself in a way that works across industries, including automotive. When that does happen, do you believe at that point that companies will be able to, given the staffing issues and other issues that are also there, to then output cars again at a level to which they're able to sell more new vehicles, and the used car market is less fragmented, and all the other effects that this current market is having on the automotive industry?
Yeah, I mean, there's several elements at play when you say, will they get back to normal? Sure. I think nobody knows what normal is anymore, but if indeed we're able to get the semiconductors that we need, and we know a lot of plants are being built, this is not something that's going to happen overnight. Combine that with the fact that everything we purchase today has a chip in it in some way. Even Build-A-Bear, I don't know if you know, they had to get rid of their hugging feature because they couldn't get chips. I was shocked to hear that, but it's impacting every part of our lives. The other thing that you're going to see is in the U.S. anyway, our population is actually declining. As we know, we're zero growth population. In this kind of situation, you're going to see a lot more automation as well. So as the automakers shift to electrification and they start to build these new manufacturing plants, we are going to see significantly more automation, more robotics, because this workforce issue is so fragile that you really need to think about investing more in smart automation and smart manufacturing. So we'll start seeing that. We'll start seeing it make its way down all the way through the tiers. That will help. In the meantime, it is going to be a struggle for talent, a war for talent, and companies need to be thinking about things quite a bit differently versus the way we have in the past.
And how much of an impact, too, does this situation they're currently in with the supply chain, and certainly with the chip shortage, on the electric vehicle market? Because that's becoming all the rage. It's something that governments in the U.S. and around the world certainly are very much emphatic about being the new norm going forward in the automotive industry. And given that electric vehicles are electric and they have so many different advanced technological components to them, I would imagine that the chip shortage is having a significant impact on that subsector of the automotive industry.
Yeah, the chips are strongly needed for electrification, also needed for the advanced driver avoidance systems, for connectivity, for all the different kinds of different levels of automation that you're seeing. I mean, the complexity of chips is increased from a very, let's call it, legacy vehicle from around, let's say, 800 to 1,000, and we've got up to 3,000 now in some vehicles. So it's almost tripled. So when you look at that, there's a huge impact for semiconductors, but let's not forget about the other things that are vital for batteries. You've got lithium, you've got cobalt, and these sources are fragile too, where we're getting those, and more importantly, where we're refining those materials. So we need to fix all of those other supply chain issues as well, and make sure that we're looking at every aspect of the supply, all the way down to raw materials. You've seen lately a lot of automakers are starting to partner with some of these mining companies. This has never happened before. This is unprecedented, but you'll see more of it as we seek to secure supply chains.
We're joined by Carla Balow, the president and CEO of the Center for Automotive Research, joining us on the Megacast. More information on their website, cargroup.org. That is cargroup.org for more information. And given the circumstances, but also given the push, as I mentioned, from governments across the world to make electric vehicles the standard for environmental purposes, for efficiency purposes, and so on going forward. And at this moment in time, given the circumstances that we're in and knowing where the industry is at in development of mass-produced electric vehicles, Carla, where do you see in 10 years the industry being? Do you still see that at this point? Are you still forecasting, is your organization still forecasting that gas-powered vehicles will continue to be the standard, albeit with greater energy efficiency to them, or that electric vehicles will, over the next decade, be something that does become more of the commonality in the industry and something that automotive really shifts to as their primary mode of production?
Yeah, my answer is yes and yes. But clearly, everybody is investing a lot of money into electrification. There are several countries that are already putting in many protocols about only EVs by a certain period of time. Most of the manufacturers are planning to have a fully electrified fleet, and electrified means everything from battery electric to hybrid vehicles by 2025 to 2030. So there are clear initiatives in place. So in 10 years, you're going to be able to buy some form of an electrified vehicle across the board for whatever kind of product you want. That is very clear and happening. Now, the rapidity at which that happens really depends on the customer. And the customer needs to be assured that they're going to have the range they need, they're going to have the infrastructure that they need, and they can purchase this vehicle at the same price or on par with an internal combustion engine. We expect the cost issue to be remedied by about 2025, and that's predicated just on efficiencies improving, supply chains improving, and also potentially the advent of solid state batteries, which will help tremendously in terms of efficiency and cost. So that is predicated on that. The other issues, the incentives for purchase, the ability to be able to charge it and feel comfortable about that, that's all dependent on how those networks are built out, what kinds of policy measures are put in place, and also just think about the affordability issue today. When you've got the average price for a new vehicle at $45,000, most average Americans can't afford to buy a car today. So we need to be thinking about then what are the other ways to promote electrification throughout. And you have to start looking at the commercial side of the business, the delivery side of the business, logistics companies, and also vehicle usership kinds of services, ride-sharing services that allow people to only use a vehicle when they need a vehicle. And that's an entire kind of ecosystem of mobility that has to be addressed.
Carla, thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, any other research at this time or any other projects at this time being undergone at the Center for Automotive Research that our audience may be interested in knowing about?
Well, I think, I'd love to come back and talk to you again. We're doing some tremendous research on sustainability, reducing carbon footprint, reuse of materials. When you just asked me about batteries, we're going to have a bunch of batteries that we need to recycle and reuse. And if we do that, then, that helps with the supply chain issues. So we're doing a lot of work in sustainability as companies are really working to improve that carbon footprint. A lot of work on Industry X, automation, additive manufacturing, and of course, lightweighting. When we move into battery electric vehicles, that increases the mass significantly. We need to find ways to bring the weight of the total product back down. So a lot of interesting work on composites and mixed material joining and huge dies. So there's always something happening at the Center for Automotive Research, so we'd be happy to share later.
Carla, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. Being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary. And if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
A message from the staff of Michigan's Crime Victim Compensation Program.
Anyone can be a victim of crime
and suffer lasting trauma, physically, emotionally, and financially.
But you are not alone.
If you're struggling financially due to a crime,
we're here for you.
Find out if you qualify for crime victim compensation. Call 877-251-7373 or visit michigan.gov/crime-victim.
A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Victim Services.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanted to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. To learn more about the program on civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you can find information about our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV, otherwise known as My Mime. Joining us now is the property manager at Stow & Go Self-Storage, located in Plymouth, Michigan, but is serving people all across the world, including in Ukraine, as a donation drop-off site. Laurie Foil joins us now on the Michigan Megacast. Laurie, appreciate you being with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. First off, can you tell us about the company that is 1-800 Self-Storage and what and which Stow & Go Self-Storage in Plymouth is part of?
Oh, sure. I'd love to tell you. 1-800 Self-Storage is a self-storage company. We have 12 locations now in the Metro Detroit area, and we have some of the facilities have different things that they offer. Here at Stow & Go Self-Storage, we actually have climate controlled, and we have drive-up style units. And so it varies depending on what location you're at, but basically to meet the needs of people who are looking for storage in between moves or businesses looking for storage. And Stow and Go Self-Storage came to be in 2017 when 1-800 Self-Storage bought our facility, and they decided to go ahead and keep the name Stow and Go Self-Storage because that is what our customers have known for over 30 years.
And so, Laurie, please.
I'm sorry. In a nutshell, that's what we are.
Okay. And so then how did your facilities end up getting involved in donation drives to support humanitarian efforts in Ukraine? It's kind of an interesting connection to a self-storage location and then also being someplace that is helping to manage humanitarian aid drives for those across the world. How did that relationship begin?
Yeah, it is a very interesting way that it developed. We had a group person from Share Ukraine approach our owners, and they explained what was needed. And our owners are always looking for ways to help out in the community. We've done bicycle drives. We've done all kinds of things over the years, collected things for foster children. And so when this group, Share Ukraine, approached them, they immediately said, yes, how can we help? What do they need? And they organized, and we're working together with them and with another group called Ukrainian American Crisis Response Committee.
We're joined by Laurie Foil, the property manager at Stow and Go Self-Storage in Plymouth, joining us on the Megacast. What kind of items are being accepted at your location for these donations at this time? I imagine there's some space that's being dedicated to physical items, but what exactly is being accepted, what is not being accepted, and if so, where do you then send those people to go?
Well, at this point, we are collecting at each of our facilities. We are looking for personal care items, anywhere from personal care items for adults to children, blankets, things like that are necessary to maybe set up a new home once they've gone to an area, medical supplies, which we've already sent a load over with our defense department that was flown out, and they got all kinds of medical beds, things that they need to set up a medical tent to help our Ukrainian friends that are displaced from their home and may need some kind of medical attention. So we wanted to help them with the supplies.
So sometimes in these situations where businesses are accepting donation items for one effort versus another, or for multiple efforts, they may have hours of acceptance of these items that are outside of regular business hours, so not to coincide with regular business being done at these businesses. Is that the case with 100 with Stow and Go Self-Storage in Plymouth, or are there certain hours that are set aside for these donations, or is it during your regular hours?
It's during our regular hours, which our facilities in most cases are open 7 days a week, and the hours are 9:30 till 5. 7 days a week.
So how are donations coming along so far? When did this effort start at your location? And thus far, what has the response been from the community in terms of delivering these items to your business so that you can support Share Ukraine and the Ukrainian American Crisis Response Committee of Michigan in their humanitarian efforts for Ukraine?
Well, we just started our collection of items this past Friday. And to date, most of the facilities have gotten a few donations, but we're now working on getting the word out, letting people know. A lot of times people just need to know where to drop things off. So that was our main goal today, is to let them know where we are so that they can reach out. You can find us at 1-800-selfstorage.com for locations, phone numbers, any information you might need to be able to make your donation to help our Ukrainian friends.
So there are a number of different 1-800 self-storage locations in Lower Michigan, in Oakland County and the surrounding areas, including a couple of locations in Plymouth. And there's some locations in Wixom, Clinton Township, Oak Park, in Troy, a few locations, Grand Blanc as well, and even in Durand, Michigan. So where among these locations are donations being accepted? Is it just the Plymouth location, or is it among the other locations as well?
No, it's all of our locations are accepting donations at this time.
We're joined by Laurie Foil, the property manager over at Stow & Go Self-Storage in Plymouth, joining us on the Megacast. 1-800-SELFStorage.com for more information. That's 1-800-SELFStorage.com, including information for the location as well as the contact information for all these locations so that you can find your local location to drop off items in support of Share Ukraine and the Ukrainian American Crisis Response Committee in their humanitarian efforts to aid those that remain in Ukraine during the ongoing war between Ukraine and the invaders from Russia that's been ongoing for several weeks. So how long will your company be accepting donations at this location? Do you have a set calendar, a set timetable for these, or is this going to be something that's indefinite until your partners in these efforts let you know that this is no longer necessary?
It's indefinite. We're going to be here working, collecting donations as long as we need to.
We're joined by Laurie Foil, the property manager at Stow & Go Self-Storage, located in Plymouth, joining us on the Megacast. They have a number of different locations, however, all throughout Lower Michigan, where they will be accepting donations that will go to Share Ukraine and to the Ukrainian American Crisis Response Committee of Michigan in order to provide humanitarian aid to those who remain in Ukraine during their war with invaders from Russia. 1-800-SELFStorage.com. That's 1-800-SELFStorage.com for more information. Laurie, can we just go over again what are some of the items that are really being sought after by these organizations that you're partnering with so that people best understand what are the most important items for them to bring to these locations if they are willing to donate?
You know what? It does range from like personal care items, whether it's shampoo, toothpaste, brushes, combs. It would be anything you would need if you had to leave your home and had to establish another place of residence and you had nothing to do that with. So anything you need for personal care, Band-Aids, diapers for children, if you're thinking along those lines, wipes, anything like that. Our basic things that we take for granted, our friends in Ukraine who have left their home don't have that. So that's what they need. And they need our help to do this, to meet that need.
So, Laurie, after these items are dropped off at your location, about how long are they there before either Share Ukraine, the Ukrainian American Crisis Response Committee of Michigan, or both of these organizations are then picking them up and ultimately getting them to those in Ukraine?
They're coming in and picking those up as soon as we get enough to make it worthwhile for them to come out and get it. We're in contact with them to keep them posted are updated with what items are here, when we need to pick them up. And of course, they're making their arrangements to get the items to our Ukrainian friends.
We're joined by Laurie Foil, the property manager at Stow & Go Self-Storage in Plymouth. 1-800-SELFStorage.com for more information on their many locations in Lower Michigan, in Oakland County and in surrounding areas around Oakland County as well. Locations, with hours between Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Friday, 10 a.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Again, those hours at these locations, 9:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, and 10 a.m. to 3 on Saturdays. And you can find more information on all these locations, 1-800-SELFStorage.com, or by going to shareukraine.org, where you'll learn more information about these efforts and other places outside of just these 1-800-SELF-Storage locations that you can also donate items for those on the front lines in Ukraine. Laurie, just another minute with you before we'll say goodbye. Anything else that would be important for our audience to keep in mind with this donation drive, or anything else you'd like to speak about today?
Well, for everybody to please keep in mind, it doesn't have to just be a one-time donation. It can be ongoing. And for everybody to tell at least 10 people about this so that we can get the word out, because I know everybody's just trying to figure out how we can help, what we can do. And I just feel that just being able to share and talk with everybody about it, and that's how we're going to all get together and be able to let them know that we stand with them.
Laurie, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. We're going to take a break here on the Michigan Megacast. When we come back, we'll sit down with the spokesperson for the Michigan State Police about a mass of job opportunities, as well as a controversial proposed program that may be coming to prisons throughout Michigan very soon. That's up next. This is the Michigan Megacast.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council.
As partners working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is the source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
With us now is the spokesperson for the Michigan Department of Corrections, Chris Gouts, back with us on the program. Chris, thank you for joining us once again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So the Department of Corrections currently has some 400 vacancies for open jobs, starting at about $18.93 an hour. Now, why is it so hard? Why has it been so hard for the Department of Corrections to find people to fill these jobs? Is it a lack of interest, a lack of qualifications, a little bit of both?
Well, it's not just the MDOC, it's every corrections department around the country. It's a lot of police agencies around the state, around the nation. And frankly, a lot of businesses obviously are having a hard time finding people that want to work, but also want to work in sometimes very difficult and dangerous jobs. And so we've been aggressively marketing and recruiting and hiring. We have in our budget from the governor the ability to hire 800 new corrections officers this year. The problem is that we lose about 50 corrections officers every single month due to either retirements or promotions or some other combination. So I was just at our corrections officer graduation on Friday in Lansing, where we welcomed more than 160 new officers. And so right now, as soon as that's done, those officers are starting their first day on the job today. And our recruitment division is well on their way to having another recruit class right now, so that when we start the next academy, we'll be able to, in a few months, we'll be able to ready to go and have hopefully just as many, if not more, recruits in those seats for the next academy. We run quarterly academies, so our aim is to have around 200 or so in each class.
We're joined by Michigan Department of Corrections spokesperson Chris Gouts on the Oakland County Megacast. Chris, being that you're losing about 50 staffers per month to retirement or to moving on to other positions, whatever the case may be, and that you have so many openings at this time, and there's a bit of a struggle to fill those jobs, as is commonplace in many different corrections departments throughout the U.S. and many other government jobs and civilian jobs as well throughout the U.S. With that, you have pretty high standards in the Michigan Department of Corrections, as many law enforcement agencies do, for hiring in new staff, or even for giving feelers to new staff to be going through the academies. With that being the case, and with the need to fill these jobs with so many people leaving on a monthly basis, is there a lowering of standards that goes into place for these departments of corrections to then fill these positions? And if that were to occur, what would be the results of those standards being lowered in the output of the work that's being done in our corrections department?
Yes, so we don't have any intention of lowering our standards to bring people in. This is a very difficult job, and it's inherently has some dangers to it. And so lowering our standards would be putting not only those individuals in jeopardy, but also the rest of the staff that are already there and the prisoners and the community at large. And so we aren't lowering our standards. Some of the things that we have done, whereas currently you have to have so many college credit hours before you can apply traditionally, before you could come in. And so if we found someone who heard about us and was interested in the job and then went to apply and then found out that they'd only ever done high school, and maybe they were at another job, maybe they're working in a factory, maybe they're doing security somewhere, and they heard about us and wanted to come work for us. And then we looked and said, well, you don't have any college credits now yet. You go out and enroll, maybe sometimes they had to save up money to get into community college to get their credits. And then they could come back a semester or two later, a year later, with those credits, and then they could start. Right before the pandemic, we changed that so that if you don't have the college credits in place, you can start right away with us. And then you have up to 24 months to complete those credits while you're working for us. So that way, as soon as you get hired and you start the academy on day one, you're a state employee and you start receiving a paycheck. So after a few of those, then people could start to enroll and get into the classes and take them online, take them on the weekends, take them at night. And then as long as they get those credits within those 24 months, they can obviously, then their employment continues. And that's been incredibly successful and really opening up the floodgates in terms of applicants who maybe didn't have those credits before, but just wanted to get in the door. And we wanted them in the door, and they've been able to do that successfully. That's been really a big help for us.
So, Chris, if this slow trickle that's been going on to fill these open positions continues and persists for a while, what will be the Department of Corrections' actions in order to continue to provide the same level of service that it is providing to the state of Michigan, including to Michigan's prisoners, without necessarily needing to suffer these services or reduce the number of services that are being provided because of a lack of staff?
Yeah, so obviously one of the biggest outgrowths of having vacancies is having staff working mandated overtime. And we want to do everything we can to reduce that, because when someone has been on the job for 12, 16 hours and then is off and then maybe gets another mandated shift the next day or the day after, someone who's tired at work isn't as alert, and having staff that aren't as alert as they possibly could be, obviously can spell danger, can lead to lots of things that we don't certainly want to happen in a prison. So there's a number of things that we have been doing. Back last fall, we created an officer recertification program. So for our current employees, not retirees, but our current employees who used to be officers, but maybe have since promoted to another job in the facility, or maybe they've moved over to our field side and they now work as probation agents or parole agents or some other job in the department, they can come back and they can work shifts as an officer in lieu of mandates. And so since that program rolled out back last fall, we've had more than 400 of our current employees who used to be officers have signed up for that and have alleviated well more than 3,000 mandated overtime shifts. The other thing that's been super helpful is that during the pandemic, our prisoner population has declined by about 8,000 prisoners. So there are far, far fewer prisoners to oversee. Right now, our population is at about 32,000, which is the lowest it's been since the 1990s, the early 1990s. So that's been really helpful. And what that's allowed us to do is to close 39 housing units right now actively in our 27 prisons. We have 39 closed housing units. So think of those as like a residence hall on a college campus. We have 39 of those closed right now. So that means that those aren't officers who are having to work in that unit and not staff those positions. And instead they can fill other units and hopefully alleviate mandates. So that's been helpful as well.
We're joined by Chris Scout, spokesperson for the Michigan Department of Corrections on the Oakland County Megacast. Chris, in Sunday's paper with the Detroit News, there was an interesting story that was released about that said Michigan prisoners could soon be getting controversial movement tracking wristbands under the governor's current budget plan. It's a secure Wi-Fi network that would have movement tracking wristbands and use tablets in a $40 million proposal in Governor Whitmer's latest budget plans. It's met a couple of different points. On one hand, it's been met with some praise as a way of modernizing tracking of prisoners, as being a method of providing some educational enrichment in Michigan's prisons. On the other hand, because there are going to be movement tracking wristbands in this scenario, it's being looked at as even heavier surveillance. And I think an advocacy group that is opposing these refer to it as mass surveillance. Care to give us some insight into what this program that's being proposed in Governor Whitmer's budget may be, and reaction from the Department of Corrections to some of the opposition that's come forward so far for this potential program?
Sure. This is really a transformational investment opportunity for the department to really come into this century with the use of technology. If you can believe it or not, our system, despite the fact that we have a $2 billion a year budget, is still largely a paper-based system. So think about it. If you were a college student and every day you received a printed out pieces of paper that told you where your class was going to be that day, what time you had medical appointments, doctor visits, what time you had a visit with a relative, all those things. And then when you went to your class, you then handed that slip of paper to someone at the door. They had to sign it, log it in their logbook on paper, hand it back to you when you left. You had to get it signed again. When you went to your next appointment, you had to hand it to someone. They had to look at your piece of paper. They had to sign their book and their piece of paper, hand it back. That happens all day long in our prisons whenever they have to go to an educational appointment, a doctor's visit. These pieces of paper can be very hard to track. Same thing when a prisoner wants a prescription refilled or would like to see the doctor because maybe their knee is starting to hurt them and they want to have it checked out, or they have an issue with their bunkmate that they aren't getting along, or they have concerns about something. They have to write down on a piece of paper, put it into a box, wait several days for somebody to look at it. Sometimes there's claims that those are lost. Sometimes there's a whole host of things that can come with that. This would move us into a completely electronic system. So when a prisoner needs a prescription refilled, they would get on their tablet or get on a kiosk, they would type in and they would immediately send it to healthcare. Healthcare would receive that in their computer, and they would be able to fill that right away. There's a whole host of benefits to that. Obviously, it makes our officers' job and our employees' jobs much easier, much more productive, so that they're not having to do all this. It also helps the state when it comes to litigation. So let's say there was an incident, there was an escape, or there was an assault of a staff member or of another prisoner by another prisoner. This would allow us to see exactly who was in that area. If they did say, I sent a letter about this issue months ago. Right now, hopefully that letter would exist, but there's a possibility that it may not, or maybe it was never sent by the prisoner, but they claimed it was now, and then it's up to us to prove that they didn't send it or that it didn't get lost, which obviously is hard to prove it negative. But if it's all digital, there's an electronic record of when exactly it was sent, when it was responded to, by whom it was responded to. Sometimes prisoners like to send out 10 different letters on the same subject to a whole host of people across the facility, and then everyone doesn't realize that they were not the only one that got that letter, so they're all working on the same issue. This would allow one person to respond and not have 10 different people doing that. So there's a whole host of benefits to that system. That would be part of this enhanced Wi-Fi system that we're looking to install. Now, this would not be Wi-Fi like you and I are using right now in terms of accessing the outside internet. All this would do would be allow the prisoners to access internal servers so they could review educational materials. Especially during the pandemic when we had like our computer coding class right now at the Parnell facility in Jackson. Those prisoners were really affected by the pandemic because they couldn't go into the classroom because of the pandemic. And so that's one of those classes where you really have to be on a computer or on a device to be able to do that kind of work. It's not something that you can just, look through a book. And so it allows prisoners to be able to continue that educational enhancement while they're in their cells, when they're out, out in the yard. They're able to read those materials and do those kind of things. So there's a ton of benefits to it.
So with this program, with these RFID tracking wristbands that would provide some more efficiency in some of those programs, such as transport throughout the facilities from one area to another, making these appointments with doctors, making an inquiry about refilling the prescription and so on. That would be, of course, so much more efficient. But if somebody is concerned, if a prisoner is concerned about further tracking of their every move in these facilities, would this wristband wearing be something that's optional, or would this be a requirement for everybody as an entirely new system? Or would there still be some persisting of the former paper system for those that may be opposed to wearing these wristbands all the time?
No, this would be a requirement. Right now, all prisoners are required to have their prisoner ID card on them. When they go to the chow hall, they have to swipe that card, which is an RFID card that shows that they went into the chow hall, that they've received their meal for that day, because we had a whole bunch of prisoners who were trying to go in the line 2, 3, 4 times. So they swipe it once. We know that they've received it. So they already have some experience with that. Our staff, myself included, have an RFID card that we have to wear. You probably have one to get into your building. it's the same concept. In this case, for the prisoners, it would be a wristband that they would not be able to take off. If they were able to somehow remove it, it would immediately send an alert to our control center to let them know that someone has taken it off, just like we do for the several thousand of those individuals on probation or parole who wear a GPS tether device on their wrist or on their ankle. And so it's going to help us in a lot of those efforts. So instead of having to hand that paper slip to the officer, they would just walk into the education building. They could put their wrist, up against a monitor or a device, and it would check them in and check them out. So it's as simple as that.
We're joined by Chris Gauss, the spokesperson for the Michigan Department of Corrections on the Oakland County Megacast. Chris, going back to the some 400 vacancies that, in the Department of Corrections, with jobs starting at a pay of about $18.93. You mentioned that there are a bunch of officer positions. Are there other positions with the Department of Corrections for those that may not be interested in becoming an officer or a corrections officer or being necessarily in contact with prisoners if they're interested in jobs with the Department of Corrections?
Absolutely. And certainly in our facilities, there's certainly going to be obviously contact potentially with prisoners. But, think of prisons are basically like a small city. So everything that you have in a city, you likely have some version of that in a prison. So, we have psychologists, doctors, dentists, nurses, all different kinds of nurses. We are in a desperate need for nursing, not only full-time nurses, but also just on a contractual basis. If somebody wants to come in, maybe they already work in a hospital or a doctor's office and they have Fridays off or they have Tuesdays off and they want to come work one day as a contract nurse, we have those options as well. We've been having to rely on contract nurses quite a bit, but food service, teachers, other assistants, secretarial work, maintenance employees, principals, that really runs the gamut. So they can go on our website. We have a listing of jobs. We have hiring events and town halls and open houses at pretty much all of our facilities year round. There's a listing of those right at the top of our website. And the great thing is that for state employees, next month, all state employees will be receiving a 1% raise. And then in the fall, in October, all state employees will be receiving a 5% raise. So for corrections officers in particular, that's going to jump their starting pay to just north of $20 an hour. And then after just about 6 years, you top out at just over $30 an hour. So it is a good job. It's got great benefits and the real potential to make a difference in your community and make a difference in the lives of the individuals that you supervise. So it's definitely certainly a job. We like to think of it as a career, but it's also can be a really positive impact and be a real calling for a lot of people.
Chris, before we let you go, anything else this time that would be important for our audience to know about the Department of Corrections, about these job openings or other programs in Michigan's prisons?
I think those are the biggest things. Like I said, right now we just had a graduation, so right now we are in the stage of looking for our next round of recruits. So please, go ahead, go onto our website at michigan.gov/corrections. Look at all the job openings that are there. See in your area. We have, like I said, 27 prisons around the state. We have a number of openings that you can pretty much pick wherever you'd like to go. If you live in one area of the state, but you're young and mobile and you've always wanted to live in the UP because you love hunting or what have you, there could be a number of reasons. We have a job just about in every part of the state, not only either in our prisons, but also in our field offices and other areas.
Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council,
as partners working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is the source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Who is struggling right now?
I am.
My son is.
Many are struggling with anxiety, depression, and substance use. Before it becomes a crisis, reach out to MyCal, the Michigan Crisis and Access Line for free confidential support 24/7. Available in the Upper Peninsula and Oakland County. Just call or text 1-844-44-MyCal or chat online at michigan.gov/MyCal. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Motorcyclists are hard to see.
To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
To Sophia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
72.7% of high school students get less than the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. This can cause pain, obesity, and can very negatively affect your mental health. When you have a consistent 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day, you get sick less often, lose more weight, and have better relationships with those around you. For more information about the dangers of sleep deprivation, go to sleepfoundation.org. This message is brought to you by the WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
It's the Great Lakes water. And so what people do ends up in our waterways.
Flushable wipes are just evil. They should be thrown away. They're impossible to destroy, and they can cause significant problems.
One of the main things when you're cooking is to not dump fats, oils, and greases down your drains.
They stick to the sides of pipes. They stick to everything they come in contact with. Don't put it down the sink.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
We as Michiganders feel connected to this resource in a way that I think is really powerful.
Conservation starts with a caring, committed community.
For me, it's peaceful to have a relationship with the river.
Every single one of us has a role to make sure that those waterways stay safe and healthy, being careful about what goes down the storm drain.
Just even eliminating some of your single-use plastic makes a difference.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Did you know that nearly 3.31 million Americans don't get their annual checkup? Going to the doctor regularly is extremely important and is a crucial factor in maintaining good health. Make sure you are visiting your local doctor often and telling them about any health concerns you have. For more information, contact your local healthcare provider. This message is brought to you by WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
People are getting out to walk and bike in higher numbers. More vulnerable road users and higher speed traffic can be a dangerous combination. Crash severity has increased, so if you're driving, be sure to slow down and look for people. There's no need to speed. If you're biking, ride with traffic. If you're walking, avoid stepping into the road if possible. If you have to walk in the street, walk facing traffic. Learn more at walkbikedrivesafe.org.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Parents do a lot of worrying. Get your kids caught up on childhood vaccines to protect them from these 14 preventable diseases, and you'll have 14 fewer things to worry about. Vaccines are safe and effective and save lives. So let's get caught up on vaccines and worry about something else. Get the facts at ivaccinate.org.
Welcome back to the Michigan Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe. To learn more about the program at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information about our entire network of stations, including My Michigan TV. Our next guest is a Grammy-nominated multi-platinum music producer and a songwriter from the east side of Detroit. Filthy Rockwell joins us, the founder of one of nearly 300 shared Detroit-supported charities and nonprofits, Filthy Cares. Filthy, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So for those that haven't tuned in before, when we last had you on the program, give us some information on Filthy Cares, on your nonprofit organization and the work that it does to help people in the local area.
Filthy Cares is it's a nonprofit that I started. We started it about a year ago. But the idea came from when I was I had an idea, a dream almost, that when I was young, sometimes I didn't get a gift. So for Christmas, one Christmas about 3 years ago, I had an idea we was going to do a pop-up, and, we was going to take the proceeds from the pop-up, have some of the people that support the brand come out and donate toys. We wrapped up the toys, we wrapped the gifts, we went and bought gifts, stuff we needed to wrap gifts, all the other stuff. And we went and took the toys and knocked on doors, door to door on Christmas Day. And it was a powerful experience. And we started doing it every year from there. And, we started a nonprofit because there's a lot of other things we do in the community, as far as helping kids with learning how to use music, learn music programs, teaching people about entrepreneurship, helping reading contracts, different stuff like that. We just in the community, just helping. We do a lot of things at my space. My Filthy Cares and Filthy Americans is my space, but Filthy Cares is the nonprofit. Filthy Americans is where we do a lot of the events for Filthy Cares. We've done programs on bankruptcy, a lot of different stuff we do through Filthy Cares.
So who are some of the people that you're able to support through Filthy Cares and through Filthy Americans? And what are some of those lessons that you are able to teach them, or those concepts that you are able to teach them that maybe they're not learning out in their community or in their schools?
Well, when it comes to the kids, when I first started out in music, I had nobody teach me anything. I knew nothing about contracts. On my journey, you know what I'm saying, I just took that and, and I just took it and was like, well, I'm going to use all the tools I learned, all the people I've met, and take that and help more people in the community that I can help. So I help kids who's trying to learn, who trying to get in the music business and learn music. We help the homeless. We do a lot of we even did an expungement program. Like when the new expungement laws came up, we did an expungement program where we brought people out to teach them about expungement, bankruptcy. And anybody in the community, we here to help. That's what it's all about.
We're joined by Filthy Rockwell, the founder of Filthy Cares, one of nearly 300 Shared Detroit supported charities and nonprofits. More information on shareddetroit.org. If you look up Filthy Cares under their charities and nonprofits section, and you can learn more information about how you can get involved with the organization, ways that you can donate to the organization, and other means for supporting Filthy's organization, as well as nearly 290 other organizations in the Detroit area. SharedDetroit.org. We're joined by Filthy Rockwell, founder of Filthy Cares, on the Michigan Megacast. Your organization's collaborated with many different people and many other organizations over its time in existence. Lately, what have been some of those collaborations in the past few years that have helped make key impacts in Detroit through your organization?
Well, we've collaborated with Love Tito's. That's Tito's Vodka. That's their nonprofit. We collaborated with them. We've collaborated with Better Health. Better Health, the Coleman and Young Foundation, Fruit of Frugal. We did a jazz event with them to help raise money for the homeless, a homeless shelter. The Detroit Pistons. We did a collaboration with the Detroit Pistons just recently. Crime Survivors for Safety and Justice. We're working on a program with them to help. It's women. It's mostly women, but I went and met with them, and they figured that I could help with maybe like we do an event where we bring young men together and speak to men about domestic violence, and not that it's happened yet, but just about anger and and things like that. So those are just some of the people we're working with so far.
We're joined by Filthy Rockwell, founder of Filthy Cares, one of the many Shared Detroit supported charities and nonprofits, with us on the Michigan Megacast. More information on Shared Detroit's website at shareddetroit.org. And Filthy, you mentioned when the organization was being founded, it was around the Christmas season, and one of the hallmarks of your organization that really came from that initial onset, from that initial inspiration for Filthy Cares and for this organization, was your Adopt a Block program. Can you tell us about Adopt a Block and how that also is helping many people in Detroit, especially during the holiday seasons?
Adopt a Block. As I was saying, I started it about 3 years ago. We collected donations and toys and everything and just went door to door. But when we did it, I realized it was some of those families that needed food too. So the next year we did it, it was food. We had food. So we helped, each year it's gotten bigger and bigger. Like last year, we probably helped about 400 families, maybe. Like we did about 3 different projects or 3 different projects. So it's been growing every year. We've been doing it. We impacting kids, just and impacting families, and it's just been a great thing. But we stretching that into doing more than just Christmas events,
So when somebody does join the Adopt a Block program, tell us about that experience, what they do to directly help people, and how they're maybe even directly interacting with people in Detroit and helping them address some of their needs.
Oh, well, this Christmas, it was just, what was amazing was most of the volunteers, we had more volunteers this year than we ever had before, but most of the volunteers, they showed up and they didn't have family or a Christmas at home, and they just wanted to do something for Christmas and help somebody else. So and it was just that simple. They showed up. You know, some of the volunteers showed up and helped us wrap gifts. They came back the next day to help us deliver them. And it's just an amazing experience for the volunteers, because to knock on doors and just see the joy that the volunteers, this year I realized how important it was for the volunteers also, because I knew we was trying to help the people that, you know, that didn't have gifts and things like that. But I realized how much we helped the volunteers, because a lot of the volunteers shed tears because they got to spend a holiday this year, one of the most special moments they ever had. And it's like a lot of them cried, and it was just an amazing experience doing this, you know.
Yeah, and there's so many people in the state of Michigan, and especially in the Detroit area, that I found to want to be able to help other people in any way that they can across the year, especially during the holiday season. We see that kind of in an uptick where people want to be charitable. They want to be helping people in their community and in surrounding areas, but it's really, that effort is there all throughout the year. So if people are interested in helping in Detroit and helping with your organization, what are some of those volunteer opportunities that are available throughout the year for people that may want to help Filthy Cares?
Oh, okay. Well, right now it's a lot of construction in our area, but we're working on rebuilding the skate park. We got the Community Push guys, the Community Push nonprofit that's going to help us with rebuilding the skate park for the youth. We're going to do a cleanup over there. We've done a cleanup in the neighborhood before, but we've done cleanups before. Sometimes when we're doing events, we need volunteers to come help us with that. We got an event coming up. Soon here, where we're gonna in September. In September, we're gonna do a back to school event. We're gonna do a back to school event where we need volunteers to come out and help us with organizing, because it's gonna be a kid friendly event where we're gonna bring the kids out and we're gonna feed the homeless. I don't want to say so much because we're still in planning it, but we're gonna bring the kids, and the kids gonna help us go feed the homeless this time. Like, you know, we want the kids to understand exactly what the mission is. We also do donuts with a twist. That's we work with Krispy Kreme. I'm sorry I didn't mention Krispy Kreme earlier, but Krispy Kreme, we need volunteers to help us with that. Come out and help us with helping us like organize the event and organizing families and helping us with cleanup, and because it get pretty messy when the kids get, you know, all the sticky donuts. But that event, that's donuts with a twist, but it's about families coming together and just bringing people together just to do a craft together. And it's just good to see the mother, father, and the kids sit down together and do something together that they probably wouldn't do at home.
We're joined by Filthy Rockwell, the founder of Filthy Cares, one of nearly 300 shared Detroit-supported charities and nonprofits, with us on the Michigan Megacast. Filthy, you mentioned these events that are coming up and the volunteer opportunities that are available throughout the year, and the many ways people can help by volunteering with Filthy Cares. At this time, on top of the volunteer efforts, what are some of the other ways that would be most important or most helpful, rather, for people in Michigan if they want to help your organization?
Okay, well, y'all can help us out with donations. Y'all can donate to us on Venmo, Cash App. You can follow a lot of our events and stuff. We on Share Detroit, filthyamericans.org. You can find us, but we also on Share Detroit. You can donate to us, Cash App, Venmo, all the ways you donate. And volunteering and coming out to the events. Like, come out to our events when y'all see us doing events. Come out and, purchase y'all some gear. That helps us too, because portions of the money that we make from selling our merchandise and stuff, we use for our events. The events we put on, we use portions of that money to help with the nonprofit and the many things we're trying to do in the community.
Filthy, we thank you so much for joining us. Just another couple minutes with you before we'll say goodbye. At this time, is there anything else that would be important for our audience to consider about Filthy Cares and learn about your organization, or other topics we haven't discussed today that you'd like to speak on?
I'm a music producer, and Filthy Cares is me. I'm a music producer, creative, a designer, and all those things. I have my in-house counsel, my attorney. She's a part of Filthy Cares. I've got my manager. He's an accountant. He's a part of Filthy Cares. I got my daughter a part of Filthy Cares. My son a part of Filthy Cares. I've got about 3 other members, and that's what makes Filthy Cares. And we all put our skills and talents together to go out into the community to help in any way we can. You know what I'm saying? If it's going to clean up somebody's block or, then that's what we'll do. Like that's what Filthy Cares is about. And it's about, helping the youth. And the whole thing is just showing kids that it's a different way to go, because it's a lot of negative stuff that, and the negative roads and places, that kids are seeing today. And I'm just trying to show them a positive that is other avenues. There's other ways to, to express yourself in the community, and you don't have to, destroy the community. You can come out and try and build it and beautify it,
We thank you so much for joining us, Filthy, and telling us more about Filthy Cares, about your charity and nonprofit, and the ways that people can help right there in their community and in surrounding communities, help kids, help adults, help the surrounding area, help the community in general. There's so many great ways to help through your organization, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. More information on sharedetroit.org. Just go to their listings of charities and nonprofits. Almost 300 of those listed on their website now at sharedetroit.org. Go there, search Filthy Cares for more information. I'll take you to their website. You can learn more information. You can learn about their events. It'll have a listing of those events, their Amazon wish list. So if there are certain items that they're in need of, or other organizations that are supporting causes near and dear to your heart, you can purchase those for those organizations directly and help them in that way. And of course, for volunteer opportunities and those ever important financial donations, should you have the means to do so. ShareDetroit.org to learn more about Filthy Cares and the nearly 300 other charities and nonprofits that they support. Big thank you to everybody that joined us on this Thursday edition of the Michigan Megacast. Filthy Rockwell and Chris Gouts from the Michigan State Police, as well as Laurie Foil, property manager at Stow & Go Self-Storage in Plymouth. 1-800-SELF-STORAGE.com for more information to learn about their many locations for those drop-off items and donation centers that help support Share Ukraine and the Ukrainian American Crisis Response Committee of Michigan. Thank you as well to our Oakland County Megacast guests for joining us today. Todd Whalen from Give My Books and Carla Balo from the Center for Automotive Research for being on today's program. All of these interviews from the Oakland County Megacast and from the Michigan Megacast will be posted on our website sometime mid to late afternoon today on CivicCenterTV.com. Just click on our Megacast link or type in CivicCenterTV.com/Megacast. You'll learn more information about everywhere that we broadcast live and live to tape. Find us on demand as well. Full episodes and each individual interview so that you can watch the Megacast on your own time, at your own pace, and get the information that you want to learn from all of our extensive interviews with many different people from all across the Great Lakes state. CivicCenterTV.com/Megacast. Right next door to that is our coronavirus page, CivicCenterTV.com/coronavirus, where you can keep up to date on everything that you need to know about COVID-19 from reliable expert resources at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on the federal level, at the state level from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and locally from the Oakland County Health Division. We also post articles and links to articles from all across the state of Michigan about other headlines making news here in the Great Lakes state, both on the COVID-19 front and beyond. CivicCenterTV.com/coronavirus, or click on our coronavirus link at CivicCenterTV.com for all of that information directly from us each and every day. Big thank you as well to our crew for making this program possible Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, and for replays and on demand as well. Our technical director, Calvin Brown, with me in the studios each and every day. The king of television, Larry Nyland, our producer, booking all the guests, helping them get ready for these programs and helping us get ready to have long-form, informative conversations with them. Jared Clark, our Zoom producer, as well as Maddie Mustian out at Master Control. On My Michigan TV, Steve Lato Live is next, followed by Larry and Maddie Live. We'll return Friday at 10 a.m.